Someone told me once, your 100% is somebody's like 300%. The cleaner the system, even if things go wrong, it's so much easier to move past it through people. When you are just about able to afford something. So like, let's say if my wig is $1,000 and someone can save up to pay the $1,000, that money has so much energy that it means so much to them. That exchange, it's too sensitive. When I'm making a wig for somebody, I'm in a relationship with them for like a few months, and the communication is very important to me, because if I want the client to leave happy, then I need to communicate with the client. A lot of the things about getting a patent is like, it's like an exchange. You have to first of all choose location. Okay. So like you have to pay just for the US, just for the UK, just for India, and then you have to renew it every year, right? So you're almost giving, it's like an exchange, you know, information for people to access. So you're basically, you have to give information about how it's made, where it's made, the details about it, which means you're giving away how to do it.
Namaste everyone, and welcome back to the part 2 of an amazing episode 101, a number that holds special significance in Indian culture. And to make it even more special, we have Devora Oseroff sharing her journey from UK to India, about traveling all over the world, establishing her business, establishing her process, and all the hurdle difficulties, and some tips and tricks and some inspiration. So let's dive in the episode. This is Kunal Raj and you are listening to 3XP podcast. Enjoy.
Yeah, but then Hollywood uses a lot of wigs, right? Or
Yeah,
it is
so
natural hair.
Yeah, so they have more theater wigs. So
Those are different?
Yeah, so there's the split that I know of is basically theater wigs, which is one type, African American wigs, hair for people for alopecia, and for Jewish people, they cover their hair for religious reasons. So all of them are made slightly different. Like they all have the same kind of concept, but they're targeted different. So like, let's say the theater ones are made for a prop, right? So a lot of it is glued. It's only
More
levels.
rugged.
Yeah, so levels, like cheaper ones are more rugged. The finer ones, they're all hand. They're very beautiful, but they're also not meant to wear out really.
High maintenance basically.
Yeah, like it needs to be put on by like a stylist, and it can get damaged. Even the industries are very different, like in the sense of the business. When I used to make wigs like for Jewish people, which is used to be my main, their business is different. The consumer is different. The way you run the business, there's no online, like no one sells online. You go alopecia is people that don't talk about wigs a lot, but they only buy online, but they're not really aware exactly where to go, even though they have the most information about like how things are done. They have groups and they kind of interact sometimes online, but they want very natural. They want very, very natural, very light. A lot of the wigs that are made in bulk are very heavy, are very dense, and like it feels wiggy. It feels like, you know how light the wigs are? They're at least triple the weight, because it's harder to make light wigs. If you think about your business, right? When something is to remove, like you can either remove a lot, right? But if you make it already light, then it's people feel that. So that's kind of the same vibe. But it's different clientele for sure. But it's easy.
But do you cater the theater one?
We've made some like for some actresses as well, because one actress reached out to us because the film that she was working on, they had a budget and she didn't like the wig that was made for that budget. So she reached out by herself and got a wig separately, which was really interesting. So I think it depends what their budget is, but yeah.
But like if you keep an average of your wig, right? What is the price, just so that you can so people will like, people will know like how
to give people an idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with an overall, right? So let's say you have an understanding of what hair is. Hair is very expensive. I know here it's slightly different because you guys do negotiating and stuff. Do you find that like when you make your prices,
there is no deal without any negotiation?
Yeah, so
any deal.
Tell me about that, because I if someone's like giving me their price, I'll pay it. Like they decided the price. I'm not going to argue like for
but you
them.
might be negotiating, right? You're
So,
getting used to Indian.
Yeah, and also it's not only like there's certain places in the world or certain industries that they do that. But I personally don't like to negotiate. I know I need to, but like why is it? I know it's normal, so like you kind of need to.
For example, like if someone is selling a car on like how we have eBay, right?
Yes.
You have OLX over there. It's kind of
no,
eBay.
but sometimes
kind of eBay, right?
Yeah.
So if someone has to sell his car for 2 lakhs in India,
Yes.
used car, he'll purposely put it as 2.2.
Right.
Because he knows the other person
Exactly.
will negotiate. He'll say, I want it for 2 lakhs.
Right.
Then he'll say, we'll come in between and he'll buy for 2.10. So that is how.
Yeah, but this is the part that is funny. Is like he needs to do that because you guys negotiate. But really, he'll just end up with the price he said, right?
Only a little
Like he
bit,
wants.
maybe.
Yeah, so if I want it for $2,000, I'll say $3,000 because I know someone's gonna. But if I know I'm doing it, the other person knows. Why can't we just all give the normal prices and not waste our energy on like negotiating, right? So, but I get
because
it.
Sometimes you end up
making more,
getting a good deal.
Yeah, so
sometimes that guy can be like, okay, chalo, we can go for 1.8, and he might be like, okay, chalo, let's do that. Sometimes you get good deals like that, so people tend to.
Yeah, but like let's say he'll still get a good deal if he said 1.8.
Because he might have put that ad for quite a long time, and he will be like, I'm not getting response.
Yeah, that makes a bit more sense. Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, I'm getting a deal, I'll do the deal and let this car go so that
I
have more space at home.
Yeah, so I think like when it comes to that, I think yes, but as like a service, right? For me, I've had people ask me like, oh, could you make a deal like for me and stuff? And for me, like I made that price, and that's the price of the wig, and if it's not right for you, I understand, kind of thing, right? But I come from Israel where you negotiate as well. So if I'm Jewish and I have a client that's Jewish, then that's even more likely.
Yeah.
So, but I just got used to saying no, just because it's not nothing against negotiating. It's that I don't have time to do that, and also like I find like if let's say I give one person a price and then another person, that's not fair.
Yeah.
So I find that
you have
difficult.
to keep a track of which customers you're.
I can't do that.
It's the same as lying to someone and
exactly. It's too much energy.
hiding the lies over with more lies.
Yeah, you're that's keep up with that. That's tricky. Just say the truth. That's better. Saves more energy.
Yeah.
But I get it. But that's exactly it. But even I remember when I shifted my prices, like let's say even just from the demand reason, it was uncomfortable for me at one point to go from one price and then double it, literally. Also from the pushback I would get from my customers that I already know, which I did get, like, oh, that's so expensive, like why, like before it was like this, like how can you change it, like why would you do this to me, like why would you do this to me, yeah, like you can't do this, and
then you explain, see, from 2014 to 2020 inflation has risen by 6% every year.
Yeah, but even that's energy, no?
Yeah.
Like, and so I got to the point that like first I was really uncomfortable, like it was uncomfortable for me to say this is how much I charge, and then I got to a point that I realized I'm too tired, like I'm not doing this anymore, this is the price, just yes or no, and like I understand, like I completely understand. And the funny thing is that the clients that I had before and then the clients that are up there, very different clients in the sense of they don't say anything. It also depends, like because I have Instagram and people follow me, like I feel like Instagram is my portfolio, like they already kind of trust you, so there's less of that. I think also when someone doesn't know you, then there's more of that, wait, is this the price, is it the right price, like I'm not sure, kind of thing. So I think that also helps, but it depends what you're selling and it depends how you feel about it. But it's like if you, let's say from right now you change your prices double, how would you feel to do that?
I would feel good only, but then you might lose customers.
Yeah,
that is the thing.
But would that hold you back?
But then what happens is, like, there are some cases where you have the old customers whom you have charged so and so.
Yes.
And then after 6 months or 8 months, if you charge them slightly more, they'll be like, last time you had charged us that much.
Yeah.
Then,
so that does get tricky. And the thing is, the reason usually when I put my prices up is because I love what I do. Like I literally am obsessed with it, and I go into places that take a lot of time. It takes a lot of time to invent different aspects of it. I want that time to do that. I want to make my pieces better, which means I'm going to lose customers and make things more expensive, so I have the time. This you don't really explain to the customer.
Yeah.
But when I realize I get to do that, that's when my prices go up. And also my prices go up because of that reason. The product goes up and you do lose, and you have this like middle ground that's kind of like quiet, but then you start having, and then you realize how much time you have to do all these cool things instead of always just playing catch up.
Yeah.
Because I know you know what I'm talking about. That catch up, you'll never catch up. So even like I do courses, and I did some in person, and I was having a conversation with one of the girls, and I said to her, I was like, you need to put your prices up. Like you're not doing what you want to do. You're just playing that, and she's scared, and I get it. And I said to her, I was like, you just have to be okay with make money, like make a plan to make enough money that you'll have 3 months of quiet. Let's just say you don't actually have that much of quiet. You have 3 months that you feel a bit more calm. By the time those 3 months are over, you are in the next phase and you're like, oh, this works. And then that's when you realize catching up is never. So that's what you
Yeah. Have you encountered that the low budget clients are the most naggy ones, right?
Yes, and naggy, because you know what I realize is that, and also if I do that reflecting on myself, when I'm at that place, if I can afford this range or if I can afford something higher, when you are just about able to afford something. So like, let's say if my wig is $1,000 and someone can save up to pay the $1,000, that money has so much energy that it means so much to them that it's not even about my product. It's not about, it's like that exchange, it's too sensitive, right? If it's $4,000, that person that can afford $1,000, they can't even think about $4,000. The people that can afford $4,000, it's like buying something that grand person can buy 100 pounds, you know? So there's less energy and it comes with less tension. So I really, I realized that so quickly. Like, you get that.
Because in my field, even not the VFX one, but video editing, I have groups where people put just one posting about a job and there are hundreds of messages offering to do it like at 1/10 of the price.
Yes.
They could spend that time and, perfect their craft and then charge more, right?
Exactly. And I think it's a transition also for the business owner, because you have to also kind of see what kind of clientele you want. And even like I did get to a point that not only the money part, but like when I'm making a wig for somebody, I'm in a relationship with them for like a few months, right? And the communication is very important to me, because if I want the client to leave happy, then I need to communicate with the client. And if the communication doesn't go well, she's not going to necessarily leave happy. So when I got to my consultations in the beginning, I would say no to clients just because I knew we're not going to work well together, only because of that. And I know that's frowned upon, because like, no, she wants to buy a wig and take her money kind of thing. But I can't, because it really in the long run is, if I have someone else that's willing to give their money with good attitude, I'm gonna choose that person, because picking and choosing your clients is I think beneficial for the business. Do you get to do that? Or
we get to do that, like at some point of time, when you start out, we try to cater out to all the customers, right? And then slowly you niche down where you feel comfortable working and then you enjoy working, basically.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly. And then it's like, no, you don't match my energy. Like, I remember I spoke to one of my lawyers when I was making a contract, because I have a contract for my wigs, and I said to him, if somebody asks me why I said no, am I allowed to say that we don't match on energy levels? And he said, not really. So I was like,
let me add that in my TNC, with the fine print.
I did try. I did try, because I really feel that it's the truth, really. And you can't really explain it sometimes. It's not that the person is mean or bad or anything. It's just that I know. And I think for me, like, I wonder if you have this, like, if a client comes in and she has very unrealistic expectations and she won't mentally like let that go, I won't even try. Like, because I know, like, if you're strict on something, like, let's say like this wig, right? So you can see this is all the wig. But if I had a lower hairline, which is what I spoke to you about, and the wig doesn't look as natural when it's lower, you'll either need to take your hair out or you need to wear it really low, which I'll show them kind of what it looks like for them to know. But if they are like, no, I want to wear it back, I don't want to take,
I don't want to hear this. Take this money, please.
And that does happen. That literally does happen. I had to be very like, I'm like, you're gonna be happy somewhere else. But just because like I can see she kept moving the wig back, so I was like, so you're gonna wear it back? She's like, no, I'm gonna wear it here. And then I was like, but if you wear it here, it's gonna look like this. She's like, yeah. And then she keeps moving it back. There's nothing I can do. So I say no. That doesn't work. Because have you ever had that? Like, if you say yes, they'll come in the NB and push it back and be like, this doesn't look good.
There are clients you realize once you take them on board and then you start working, then you realize,
yeah.
Can't go back, man.
Did you ever like give someone their money back and be like...
There have been.
Right, yeah.
There have been recently some where I felt it is too much of nagging and I just refunded them
it's not
back.
Worth it.
Yeah. I had worked on some part of them, but then I just refunded like that. I don't want more tension or more stress.
Yeah. It happens to me like once a year, because I don't do refunds kind of thing. Like I don't, because it's also a service. Yeah. But when it's not worth it, it's not worth it. I'm happy I'm not one of them, right? Even though I'm pretty like, okay, having me as a customer, because I know from other businesses as well, I'm very particular. Is that good or bad thing when it comes to your side?
No, if you understand the limitations what we have, if you
Right.
understand some technicalities, and
Yeah, like the
then
rain.
you can adjust,
yeah.
then it is fine.
Right.
Because you know the restrictions what we
Yes.
have as well. If you're not ready to listen,
Then it's something
then
else.
it's something
Yeah.
difficult to deal with.
Yeah, because
so that is the thing.
I like when my customers are perfectionists and I like that because I can understand them also more, and like I can see what's important to them easily. Okay, so when someone comes in and they don't know what they want, indecisive.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
Yeah.
How do you do that? Because that's harder.
Yeah, that's harder. Like video editors would relate more. Like people, they tell you put any song you want in the video, and then when you put, then we're like,
Now
no,
like
I
this.
think you should put this one. And then if you send them, then again we'll like, no, put this one. Then it becomes a bit.
Yeah, that I also think is
So
harder.
now what we do is we send them 3-4 links of the music file you select and you send, and based on that we'll.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Because I think I also pretty much give unlimited. But if someone goes back and forth, it's not actually good for the wig, depending on the work. So I'll say this is your last kind of choice.
Revisions.
Yeah.
So I send, like, usually there are 3 revisions.
Yes.
Apart from the 4th revision, it will be chargeable, so that they'll give limited
They'll be
ones.
serious.
Yeah. You can't write unlimited revision. Then you're
screwed.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, because even for me, like a lot of my customers, when they come back like after and they want some alterations, it depends what it is. Like sometimes I'll just do it, but sometimes I'll charge. It really depends. But I have to always say it's a charge because otherwise, again, and not funny thing I realized, and this is more back, is that someone thinks the more the better. So like let's say this wig, right? Someone knows the hair is expensive, so they're paying money for your wig. So like I want it to be full of hair, right? Because I want more work, like value for my money. And sometimes they do want it to look full. But I was like, but if you put a lot of hair, then it's gonna look very full and glamorous. You want that. And it's like if they say yes, but really they don't, like they think that hair's gonna fall out, so I want it to be fuller in the beginning.
So by the time it is 1 year, I'll have like a moderate.
The right hair. And that aspect, like I'm just like doesn't work like that. And some people are okay. Some people still want to do that. I've had one person ask me, put a lot of hair. Then I put a lot of hair. She's like, can you take it out and then give it to me? And I was like, you put it in my wig, right? Well, but that's also for you. If someone asks you, I want to shoot like all of this in this time, but
then it's not possible. We try, like people who are traveling just for 1 day, they'll be like, I want to shoot from morning to evening.
Yeah,
the 2 days of work they want to do it in 1 day, then it's not possible.
But also remember how tired I get. So tired after an hour and a half.
Yeah, but there are clients who
will do.
Yeah, who
then
want
they'll
to
shoot the whole day.
Yeah, even if they are tired, they'll won't be like, I have paid you, so that I'll try to shoot the entire until I get tired, I'll shoot from morning to evening.
Right.
So like evening, let's get some shot with the lights and all. So we have done previously, like we had done a few shots like that.
And do you think that's good? Like,
That's
are they happy with it in the end?
Even we are not happy.
Even
We had music videos which were done we started at 5 a.m. and then we winded up at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, 24 hours of a shift. We took breaks in between, but that was hardly like 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah,
but that time we were traveling with a bike, we took everything.
But this is the thing, like, even I have like a to-do list. So like I write like 1,000 things on my to-do list. I know I'm not going to get them all done. I'm 100% aware. Sometimes I'll get 5, sometimes I'll get 10, sometimes I get 0. No, I'm just kidding. But like if I go through a day saying I'm going to get all this done,
You'll be stressed.
yeah, it was not going to come out good.
Yeah.
I think that's what I've learned like throughout the years is that you learn to prioritize your energy and your time and pick the ones that are more beneficial, because when I pick something and I'm stressed and I do like even the last 20 minutes of that shoot that we did, my face is just, no matter what I do, it's just going to be like just straight. So like if I fight against that, I will not use any of those shots. But people do use it. People use it when they
try to use it.
They try. It's not worth it. It's compromising, isn't it?
Because like even sometimes what I do is I think that let's do 2 podcasts in a day. But
yeah, exactly.
Let's save up time. And if people say, you batch produce.
Yeah.
Right? So like prior to this week, I planned up 8 episodes in 2 weeks.
Okay,
I ended up doing 5, but that was also like too much for me because I realized the 6th one, I postponed it for the next week.
So how do you deal with that feeling of like...
By the time I reached 5th one, I knew I was not getting creative. It was like just a interview sort of.
Do you get like
you might end up in a creative block then you might not work for maybe a month or so.
Yeah, you're just dead. Yeah. But do you like, I'm very strict on myself. Like I'll get mad at myself, which is good and bad. Like if I thought even I got better at this list like achievement thing, and even if I can like be smart about it from experience, there's some things if I don't manage, I'll be mad at myself. I'll be like disappointed that I wasn't able to do this. Or like I know if I wasn't able to do this and then tomorrow I already have a busy day, I can't do it tomorrow, I can't do it the next day, then I'm like, crap, like, you know, what am I gonna do? That kind of feeling. When I get that, I really feel like I have this choice to either complain like a little kid, which I do sometimes, just like stomp, like, this is so stupid, it's not fair, you know? Or literally I become this like a little bit not cold, but I'm just like whatever. Like, and it's such a funny feeling because like I know that it is always gonna happen, but I think as a business, getting better at just moving on from those things is so beneficial. But it's also very impressive sometimes, like these things happen and let's say I have 2 weeks that everything becomes like messy, but nothing really goes wrong, right? Because everything's still fine. So if nothing's wrong, then why did I stress in the beginning? I say this like it's easy, but it's not. But like, do you ever get that? Like, do you ever feel like you're strict to your mind of like
then you
not
try
managing?
to do some different stuff, right?
Yeah. But still, it's
Your
still not...
business is not going on. You'll be like, this week I'm an influencer, you know.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, I always have to change.
Like, a lot of business last week. Now I'm the influencer. Next week will be model.
Yeah, but that's hard to keep switching.
Yeah.
Because I have to switch from a business owner to like even a boss to then like influencer to then like a person, you know, to then like...
If you do too much of context switching, then it is difficult.
Yeah.
You're switching when you're feeling like it is too much. Then you're switching. Then it is fine.
Yeah, that makes it easier. Because even like through my day, like I'm like the smartest in the morning. My brain is like just on it, and then like at some point I start. So like when I start to get like tired and my brain turns off, then I'll switch to like either I'll do something with Wigs or I'll do something like more with socials. You just have to, because if I did brain the whole day, I couldn't. No, but I also won't do the opposite. Like I won't do, if my brain's working the best in the morning,
it usually works best. Yeah, in the morning.
For you?
Yeah, in the morning it works. At night you can't think of creative ideas.
So are you a morning person or... Okay, well a lot of people are evening people and they think better.
I used to think better at 12 to 3 previously, but
now it's morning.
Now it's morning.
When it's quiet?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll go to sleep like so tired and kind of moody and wake up, I'm so happy and my brain's so like magic. And then it's
if you're scripting or if you're writing up something, morning is good.
Yeah,
exactly. If you're learning
and
stuff, then evening also works.
And also like I work out in the morning, I told you. That makes it really good for my brain. You should try. In the beginning, it's like a month of torture, right? I remember like the past 2 years I've been pretty good with training, right? But let's say the past 2 years I've been like really good, but still like better and worse kind of thing. And recently in like February, March, April, I was traveling a lot, so my schedule of working out got a little bit bad. And then when I came back, I was like, I want to make it good again. I did hire a trainer, and like that would keep me accountable for like every like morning. The first 2-3 weeks, I can hear my brain like literally complaining whilst I'm doing it. I'm getting up and doing it, and it's like, no, stop, no, like that. I don't want to do more. Like, no, I want to do this. I want it to be finished. And I'm like, shut up. And you just have to do that for like 3 weeks. I think, you know, the amount of times people have said to me, if I tell them about my business, they'll be like, no, you should just delegate. Just delegate. It's like ringing in my head. And I think like, yes. But what does that mean? So like, let's say, right? Because sometimes depends who's asking me. I'll be like, okay, so like I have to do like 10 things. Delegating means I have to find the right person. Then I have to pass over the information to that person. So time. Then they have to do it. Then you have to review it. Then you have to alter it. All of that's time. Now, all that delegating is worth it when you're doing it with intention, but you
with the right person.
And you'll go wrong a few times, and you'll spend that time and so on, and sometimes you'll just end up doing it yourself because you know it's just better and easier. But yeah, like I think there's an aspect of delegating. So like for me, it's like right now I know I need to hire a few people for my team, but I can't hire them until my systems are ready, because if I hire them, which I have in the past, hire people because I didn't have a choice, and they would come in, and either from their perspective or from my perspective, the time it takes to train them, the time it takes for them to settle in and so on, and it doesn't always work out beneficial. Like I'll have to clean up their mess first, then I'll have to hire somebody, but I'll learn from the situation, they'll learn from the situation. So delegating is a funny thing for me. Like yes, as a concept and as like the plan, but I feel like it's an easy answer for people to say.
But then you have to set up the systems, and you have to
All
decide
that's
what
time.
part to delegate,
and
then review, and then you slowly push on based on the skill set
and this is one aspect. So like let's say even even like when my business is a bunch of different parts, right? So what I usually do is I'll focus on this for 2 weeks, then I'll focus on this on 2 weeks, still handling the other ones, but like giving a lot of time to here, but then I'll have to catch up here. And then so delegating would be great for all these different places, but like let's say at the moment it's not possible.
Delegating a person to delegate stuff. That is
Yeah, thank you. Could I please have this person? I would love that. Like when someone says, oh, you need to find a really good, like, you know,
manager.
Yeah. I would love a really good manager. Can you tell me where I can find one, please? And even that, like it's important. Your team is important, and the people that are around you all the time. It's important for both people to be happy there.
Yeah.
That's also time. Teaching someone going through that. So delegating is a funny one for me sometimes. But I will admit that I do have a mindset of I'll do it myself because I'll do it better, which is not, you cannot build a business like that. That I know. It just has to shift slowly. Do you manage to delegate?
I managed to delegate slowly with the systems which are there.
Yeah, but you still have to do a lot of stuff yourself.
It comes with your expense as well, right?
Yeah,
expense
exactly.
of time and expense of money.
Yeah, like somebody really knowing something. Like I know a certain kind of manager that I would want, they would be expensive. And so like, when is it worth it to get it? I do think as soon as I can, even in the sense of like affording somebody, but just for it to fit in, I'm sure that they'll do a lot of things that I do a lot better. And I'm very excited for that time. But even like the factory thing, like how many factories I've been to that said no, even for money, like just because they would have to change everything. So like it really led me to this point that I have to open up my own factory. I don't necessarily want to. I mean, I do, but like I don't.
Yeah.
And where do I open this factory? So there's so many things that goes into delegating things. Even like working with China. When I work with China, I need to understand what are my benefits and what are not. And it's like delegating is also possible in those services, but at the same time, when I now have to give something to China, the pattern I have to create, I try to create it myself, but no, I need to hire like a pattern designer. That pattern designer has to understand like graphics, and they have to understand that I'm giving it for an order. And then so it's like all the systems I have to make sure, which has all been really interesting, and I've learned like a lot about my business breaking it down like this, but it's not easy.
Initial time it will take, but then once it is properly set, then it is done.
Exactly.
Until you find that system, then until that it
exactly. And I think this is like, I prioritize my time in making that right. So even my website has taken a lot longer. Remember last time I was here, I was supposed to launch a year ago, and really, I mean, there's a lot to it, but when it comes to the reason why I wouldn't launch yet is because, this system doesn't make sense. So if this system doesn't make sense, you need to spend time fixing it. Some people would probably fix it later. I can imagine that, especially like with my website, people would have launched 6 months ago with what it was.
But I had one guest on my podcast who said that perfection is a myth, meaning you should at least put out something rather than wait it to be perfect and then it just keeps on. I
think this is one of these sayings that like nothing's ever perfect.
Yeah.
Even if you're a perfectionist, nothing is ever perfect. But there's using your, like I for sure have a perfectionist like character, which is not always helpful, but very helpful in some things. So if I learn to manage it, which is hard because if it's part of my character, it's more difficult for me to let go, right? But if I learn to manage it, then I can use it to my benefit. So even if I let go of it when I'm not happy 100%, because I'll never be happy. Someone told me once, your 100% is somebody's like 300%. That is probably true. But the thing is that I've learned a lot from making mistakes. So I do take the mistakes in and be like, okay, I did this, it didn't work, let me change this, even if I try to be a perfectionist. But I think that's a tricky thing to say. Let's say I launched 6 months ago, right? When it wasn't perfect, right? Yes, I could have. So like, let's say I'm imagining how it would go. I would launch, I would sell this wig, I would sell this wig, and that would be a not perfect system according to my perfect mind. Wow. So like, let's say that's not bad. And if my intention was just to launch, I would do that. Let's say I wait the 6 months, be my annoying perfectionist mindset.
And if it launches in 6 months, then it is fine.
Yeah, and also like
shouldn't go out
for
then 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years. But then I can delegate. You know what I mean?
You can launch and then you can update, right?
Yeah, so like And that's the thing. Like, I remember when I had to let go of my last 2 employees, and I think I mentioned this to you, is that like I can look at where I went wrong and I can look at where my opinion where they went wrong, right? But at the same time, I did realize is that the cleaner the system, even if things go wrong, which they always do, it's so much easier to move past it through people. So like, let's say when I'm a perfectionist with myself, so if I'm making this one wig, I'm making it, I get to fix it, cool. But if I give it to somebody, then they mess up, and then I have to fix their messing up. I would say that's a little bit different. It's acceptable. Yeah. A lot of times I love teaching and I understand people have to learn, but sometimes fixing people's issues, if it's something like they made once, I think it's fine. Twice, usually fine. But sometimes it's not. But if I had a system in place that made it clear that like this is not acceptable, then I wouldn't have to go through that. That's basically where I think I am in the sense of like finding perfectionism to work for you. But I do have to work on it. I do have.
Yeah, because they should have a reference, right? Because they won't know that this is okay, this is not okay. They should have some reference to say this is not okay, this is okay.
Yes, but that takes time to do that, right? And it takes time. So then also when I spend time doing this, I realize actually it's not just the system. It's a system of when I sent to China to do the material, I realized that they didn't do that right. So I have to create that system first. So I'm going to create that system. But then I realize when I speak to them, that's going to take like 2 weeks. So I can't delegate to that person because I need that system first, then that system. Then I can, that's why because I get perfectionist comments all the time. Because I am. I'll admit to it. But it's, again, tricky in the sense of like it's not as simple as yes, I can launch that. And I think this also goes a lot to be how comfortable you are in what you're doing. I have the days that I can stress out and freak out almost that like I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble because I'm taking my time, right? Or like I'm too high maintenance. My standards are too high, and it's never going to be possible, and it's never going to happen, and I screwed up. I have those days. I 100% have those days, and in those days, I feel like all these standards are like, hey, maybe I should have launched 6 months ago. Maybe I should have done that. But those are just days, which are not easy. But then days
you consult yourself only. Yeah? That is fine. You know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But then the days that I
self-affirmation is this.
Look, you learn a lot about yourself. Yeah. A lot in this process. I was a different person even a year ago. Like even I was saying to someone, I realized I have to be careful with the way I talk. So I used to be, let's say a year ago, if I would talk to somebody before I start working with them, I would say I'm annoying. I maybe even said to you, I'm annoying. I'm very perfectionist. I want details. I'm annoying. I used to say that word. And I realized that leads me to come off annoying. Because especially with business, there's a money exchange. It's different. So if I basically say, this is my requirements, these are my standards, not say anything about annoying, right? And they give me their price, then I'm never annoying. I mean, I might be, but I didn't say I am. So it's
manifesting, you're saying, right?
Exactly. And it's creepy how, because I realize that I encounter issues that if I do talk like that, then in that time, I suddenly, in my inner self, feels uncomfortable. But I realize that I can't do that. So yeah, a lot of self-work whilst you get there, you know. But then I have days that I feel great and I'm like, I can do this. This is good. This is so worth it. This is going to work. This is amazing. So I think it is about holding both, because you will have, and the higher you go, the scarier it is, and it just doesn't stop. Oh, should we talk about the patent?
Yeah, patents.
Patents. Patent.
Yeah.
So do you have patents
patent
in India?
बोलते हैं, patent बोलते हैं.
Patent. Do you have in India? Is that popular to do? So if you come up with something new, you patent it, and people still copy it then. Oh.
But then you have the patent, right? Like people now, even on Shark Tank and all, when they come, they mention that it is patent.
Yes.
Well, people will get ideas, right? And they'll try to think. So it is patent. And then there is trademarking. Because
even patents, like I've looked into that because I created something that is new, and I would be, because a lot of the things about getting a patent is like the more new it is, the easier it is to get one, right? Like,
so how do you get patent for your hair designs? Or?
No, so for the accessory, for the band.
Yeah.
Because the band is new, like the way I made it.
You can't patent the hair, right?
Not really, no. I mean, you probably can a little bit, but
you can't have that hair, because if you have the patent, we might sue you why you're having that hair.
But this is where I wanted to ask. So like, let's say when I was doing this research into patenting it, you have to first of all choose location. Okay. So like you have to pay just for the US, just for the UK, just for India, and then you have to renew it every year, right? And you have to renew and then the details you give is very important. So you're almost giving, it's like an exchange to the government or to the information for people to access. So you're basically, you have to give information about how it's made, where it's made, the details about it, which means you're giving away how to do it, right? So you're giving it away for protection.
But this information, is it accessible to people?
Yeah, everyone can see.
I can just go and search.
Yes. And this is where it started getting interesting for me. So I was like, so do people say everything? But if you don't say everything and you patent it without giving that information, then if someone copies that and using that part you didn't say, then it's not. So I was like, I started realizing, I was like, is it worth it? Because first of all, the only reason I want to patent it is because people are going to still try to copy it. So I'm not going to take on lawsuits really, unless it's something so blatant, right? But at the same time, let's say I got a patent in the UK and the main countries and they sell it from a different country. So basically, like, is it worth it to do it? That's basically where I got to. Not only because of the money, every year you have to make sure you upkeep it, and it's the giving the information that I found difficult. Because let's say this way, right? I don't need to patent it because no one can make this copy. What I mean by that is the details that go into it. The way also I manufacture it, I'm manufacturing it in parts. So I have this factory do this factory do that. It comes back to London, we put it together, and we still do finishing touches. No one can copy it. So I don't have to worry, let's say. Right? Let's say something smaller, like what I want to patent is the band. It's easier to do that, but people will still do it anyway. So I started, I decided I'm not going to do the patent. I'm not going to do it. I don't need another system to work on. I don't need to do that exchange. I don't need to give that information. And I just have to figure out ways to make it that'll be hard for someone to copy it, which is another thing. But then that makes it easier. And I think that's a more creative way to do it, because like people are going to copy it anyways. Everyone's going to know that this is our bands because no one's made these before, right? Like this specific kind. So when it comes to patent, I think I never thought about it like this until I understood that exchange. So if you have anybody doing a patent for something, is it always an obvious to do it? Because most people said yeah.
But does it depend on the value of the...
Not necessarily, because if you
value
think...
of the item. If it is a low value item, do you need a patent? Or...
No, because like why would someone patent? Like, give me an example of a product that someone patent that, or not that you know of, but like a product that is worth it. So like, let's say someone creates anything. I think the only like tech things, like certain chips like that, I can imagine stuff like that you would need to patent
where
it.
a lot of time has gone for the research and development, those kind of things.
But I feel like, let's say like even Apple, right? You look at Apple products, they're beautiful, they're amazing. If you get a fake one, it's still not Apple. Even like the
software interface and all that.
Yeah, exactly. And even like when you think about the bags, these expensive women bags, right? Like the Birkins, like you can get a fake.
Yeah.
But you're still not going to get that. You want the real one. You want the one with the real name on it, even though it looks exactly like it.
Even the logos get
even
copied,
the logos, even if you get a really good quality one, why do we still want the one that's real? Why? Because they've created that system, that world for somebody, and you want to be a part of it. There's no copying it. So would they create a patent for it? They don't need to create a patent for it. People are going to copy it anyways. They don't want to spend their time. So that's kind of the vibe I'm going for. Because they're going to do it anyway. And if you're creating your own world with it, they're going to want the real thing. Even like, the idea that when something's more expensive, you're like, it's better. Sometimes it is true, but...
Yeah, sometimes it is just marked up, brand value.
Yeah. But what does that even mean? Why do we want something that's more expensive?
People feel that it is expensive. There must be a lot of, quality with the price.
And is that true? Not all the time.
Not always.
And also like a status. Status is a big thing.
Yeah.
Even like and it's a natural thing. So like if I stand next to like a really expensive car, you'll automatically think I have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Even though I can stand next to a cheap car and I can still have a lot of money, and you won't think that. So it's like status is natural. Like even I'll do it, even though it can be true. That person can be acting, or that person can be. But status is important. So like if you start thinking about like your company like that, so the way you talk, even I'll give you an example. So the bespoke that I have on my website, I have to have them confirm that they understand the price, that it's expensive, right? But I was like, if I write that, that's not how you treat someone that's going to pay for that money. So I don't know how to do that. So I had to like, I use ChatGPT a lot. Like, how does somebody, but it's like,
How does somebody tell that it is expensive without telling them it is expensive?
That's exactly what I mean. So now I found another site. It said price upon request, and I've seen that before. That's what it is. So now I'm gonna put price upon request. And the funny thing is like
I've seen the same thing,
right?
where
and I know it's expensive when someone says that.
I've seen like the photographers. If you search, they'll get a lot of photographers, but most of them are like price on request.
Yes, but you know that's expensive, right? That's how you do it. But this is what I mean. It's like I know that I'm looking at this sentence saying, I understand that this is going to cost this much money. I was like, you can't say that. I was like, ugh. I was like, it's bothering me. And I kept thinking, like, I was like, how am I going to say this different? The fact that I didn't come from money, that's why my brain doesn't work that way. But the second I'm looking, I'll find it. And so it's like that idea. I think that is so, when you start thinking like that takes me time. Like my web developers, when I said that, they're like, this is what you want to say. I was like, and then I know I'm going to go back and say, could you change it to this? Because in my mind, I'm like, that's not acceptable. Perfectionist? Yeah? That's not the place. But it is the same idea that like, they'll come back and say to me, but then someone won't know. I was like, that's the point. That's the point. Someone won't know. But if you don't know and you're actually curious and you feel like you need to know, you will find out somehow. You look it up on Google. What does it mean when someone says price upon request? Or you'll just automatically know.
Or if they are really curious or really eager to buy, they'll reach out to you.
Yes.
Or there will be just time passes.
Exactly. And this is the thing that also I try to explain them. Like a lot of times they're like, oh, but the people will leave. We need to make sure they have a trail so they can continue. I'm like, no, like they can leave. They can come back. They can leave. They don't understand. That's fine. That's fine. If they don't understand this, that's okay. Because like you said, they'll figure. When I don't always understand things on websites. I'm like, wait, where's this? Where's this? I will look. If I'm interested, I'll continue. Sometimes I give up, but very rarely. So it's like, but I think companies and businesses are nervous to do that. So like, that's where I try to move some things, and it does take time and a bit risky. But when you start doing it and it actually works, then it doesn't feel like a risk anymore. So like when I write price upon request, I'm like, that looks right. I don't care.
People are requesting, you know.
People are still requesting. Yeah. And that's the thing, like if they read the TNCs, it'll be there. And this is why I also more ways for people to read it, because my TNCs are so transparent. So it's like you'll have all your answers if you actually look there. But the thing is, it's like you are creating a vibe. You're creating a vibe for somebody. Like on my website, there's nothing about bespoke only on the menu. Like that, a lot of people be like, yeah, but like where's the customization? You find it. You know, like everything's about the core, because like that's what we are pushing in the sense of like quantity. Like most people, because the people that are going to come on the site, the second I put bespoke and core, I suddenly have to explain it. If I have to explain the difference, I have to use words and text, and now I'm limited. If I'm going to choose a word, if someone doesn't understand, and also suddenly it becomes official and not an experience. So it's choosing those kind of feelings.
Core is basically
the e-com, like the online.
Yeah, online one. The medium, small, these are the choices you can just take.
Yeah. Like a menu. Like that one. But do you know how long, when I first started, like a year and a half ago, the core, just the core, I didn't know how I'm going to do it. I remember someone else saying, so how are you going to even the front end part, which is like the website, the customer, or the back end part, which is the manufacturing. I didn't know how I'm going to do it. Even now, like I'm definitely getting closer. But it's like moving in that way, understanding that myself a year ago didn't know how to read contracts properly. Now I can spot contracts. I can see how but that's only through experiencing. Only through taking these risks. When I came to India, the 1, 2, 3, 4 times, each time I came, I was like, I have to make sure that I get this factory to work like for this product. And then it didn't work out. And then next time it didn't work out. And I remember coming once, I was like, what am I going to do? Like it's not working. I remember I think it was at the time after I met you, I came and I had to literally accept that I came.
India is not for me.
It's not.
Yeah.
India's not. No, because you know what I realized about India is that I once I understood the system, I understood why the way I do it wouldn't work. But what I did understand is that, like, if I want to make it work, there's a lot of benefits to it, but I would have to do it in a certain way. So I would have to do it in a way that I don't have to worry about, like, you know how I make everything in parts? I would have to make it more in parts, and I have to make it more unclear. And again, more systems that you have to create. Do I want to do that or do I not? I still think that it's something I would consider. But would I don't know, because you always have to think about it. But because it's like that for everybody, it makes sense. But I just don't know if I can do that. Like that. And I think it also depends where. And also I would always have to have someone here that you trust.
To coordinate between the local,
Yeah.
you know. You need someone who visits the manufacturing plants and, you know.
Yeah. And even China is the same. Like anywhere I would do this is the same. And I think that's where I got up to. I even considered Dubai. And like, I was trying to figure out where would be the best way that will work with the flow. Everywhere you're going to have is going to have something. But when I had to accept, that was not easy. See, like, that's when, like, you're perfectionist. But I think that was also, it was easy on one side, but the other side is because I knew that I didn't know exactly how I'm going to do this. But you just become smarter. Like, even accounts, yeah, which I used to hate doing.
But then accounts, even I hate doing it. But then at the end, once you tally in the numbers, you know where your business is running.
Yeah.
Whether it is profit or in loss or what needs to be done.
So obviously I always knew I had to do it. I hated it. But now I got to a point that I liked it, which is the weirdest. I can't even explain to you how weird it is. And the only reason I like it is because I understood that the more I know about it, the more I can create the systems I need to create. So suddenly I started liking it. I started creating all these. I was like, who is this? I was like, who is this? I used to hate numbers. Now I'm starting to understand. But I think I probably also hated it because I wasn't good at it. I mean, I'm still not good at it. But I think anything you try to, if I'm a creative person and I try to take something that's serious like accounts and make it creative, then I like it.
How do you make it creative?
Okay. Okay, that's a good question.
Tell me, I need some help.
I'll help you. Yeah, okay. So basically, what kept happening to me with accounts is that the accountants do their job, is that they have their numbers and they do it. If they don't have the right groups, the right system to put it in, they can't get creative about it in the sense of taxes, if you want to put it like that. Or even not only taxes, in the way that the back end is for delegating. So for me, I'm also thinking about delegating because it's so important. So like, so basically if I want to delegate my certain parts of the accounts, if I want to delegate the bespoke and then the core and then the products and then the website, they all have to have the systems that everyone understands, right? So it's kind of like this puzzle. It starts becoming this puzzle of like, if I have this system and I pass it on to my accountants like this, then it will work for this. And then I'm like, no, but it won't work for this. But then and so like basically when it came to the accounts, what kept happening to me is that I would get like a tax bill. Like for me, the major things, I got a major tax bill, which kind of made sense. But then I was like, wait, that doesn't really make sense. And I had to backtrack. They did the numbers, right? But because I remember this one accountant told me that like if I have, because my bespoke ones, they pay up front, they have to wait 7 months. The making of it is only in the 7 months. So the last 2 months of the year, all those like input, like in the income can be moved to the following year. And then it makes more sense with everything. They didn't do that because it was a different accountant to what they told me. So they didn't do anything wrong. And then I kind of understood. I was like, now my books don't look neat. And now my perfectionism started kicking. I was like, I don't like how this looks. Like, this doesn't make sense. And that's when I literally, this is like, I think in January, just now. And I paid tax. I accepted the, like, so basically, like, they didn't do anything wrong, right?
Did the accountant lose their job? Or
No. Did you cut them off? Almost. I really did almost. That's such a good example of when my friend is like, you can't just cut everybody off. I was like, yeah. So that's actually a really good example because with business, a little bit easier for me because I knew they didn't do anything wrong. I knew that they could have done it better, but I also look at my system and be like, I look at the past year, I didn't have time to look at my accounts at all. So the information I gave them is also on me. So I can be reasonable, but I was very close. I did look at other accountants, but it's like, so what I decided to do is I decided to take all the papers and kind of go through. I can't explain to you how much my head hurt me, like, because it's not the way my brain. You're like, yeah, you're like, yeah, I know.
Sometimes I just postpone that, I'll do it later,
Yeah,
and by end of the month it is the same thing.
Yeah, so that's basically for 2 days my head like this. So there's nothing wrong. Like the accountant looked at me like I'm crazy, right? He's like, the numbers are always gonna be fine. I was like, I know the numbers are always gonna be fine. Like I was literally like this. And I was like, but do you understand that, like, if you look at my business for 7 years, right? And if I have to delegate all my work, then things need to make sense. So if this year and this year make sense to me and you because we understand the numbers, when I hire this manager and they suddenly start doing that, that's not gonna. I'm gonna have to now teach them and tell them instead of cleaning it up and then creating the new systems. And that's where I got creative. So like now I had a meeting before I came here with my accountant, and I first need to understand a lot. So it's like I had her teach me a lot of things. And then I kind of came to her, okay, like, let's do this for this. So I'm splitting like the core, I'm splitting the bespoke. I want even different bank accounts for each one. So everything stays clean. So it's easier. That's the creative. Go enjoy. Go.
So yeah, so that was pretty much with this episode. This is me, Kunal Raj, Devora this side, and pleasure,
yeah, thank you,
working along.
this was
And
good.
I did not have to frame much because we have been working for the last 4-5 days, right? So I have enough information just to
I'm glad, to know how to talk. But thank you so much for having me.